In the world of photography, some images possess a unique ability to whisk us away to the cherished chapters of our lives, enveloping us in the comforting embrace of nostalgia. These pictures are not just static moments captured in time, they are vessels of memory and emotion, capable of rekindling the warmth of bygone days. Each frame, a portal to the past, carries with it the power to stir a symphony of feelings, from the sweet pang of childhood innocence to the bittersweet echo of moments lost to time. Welcome back to Past and Folks. In my channel, I try to bring history-related content which are both educational and entertaining. From remarkable individuals to monumental events, we bring history to life, shedding light on the stories and moments that have shaped our world. If you like this type of content, then please consider liking the video, leaving a comment, or even subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate your support. Gunner Hector Murdoch had been gone for over 4 long years. Most of that time was spent as a prisoner of war in the unforgiving prison camps of Singapore, where he endured unimaginable hardships. There were days when he nearly gave in to despair, moments when he believed he might never see his family again. Back at home, his wife, Rosina, and their young son, John, were worried sick. They had no idea if Hector was still alive. For a long and agonizing 18 months, they had no news about him. Then, on October 15, 1945, which happened to be Hector's birthday, he finally came back home to their new house in Tulse Hill. This photo was taken to capture that special moment. These 5 emaciated former prisoners of war sitting on the steps of an ambulance in Singapore following their release from captivity in Sumatra in 1945. Holding the newspaper is Sergeant Jack King RM, formerly of HMS Prince of Wales, while standing next to him, with the distinctive chest tattoo, is Private Tom Wardrope of 2nd Battalion, Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. These British prisoners were held on the Changi POW camp. Often thought to be synonymous with horror, it was in fact a relatively comfortable camp, at least compared to those on Borneo, Ambon, Hainan, Japan, and the Thai-Burma Railway, where rations to the prisoners of war were reduced drastically as the end of the Pacific War approached. Some may assume that they were sharing a romantic kiss after the gentleman's proposal, but in reality, this iconic photograph was captured at Times Square during the celebration of the end of World War II on VJ Day. As per Greta Friedman, she was embraced and kissed by a sailor in a jubilant moment, resulting in one of the most iconic American photos of the 20th century. One of the most severe blizzards on record to impact the northern plains occurred 57 years ago between March 2nd to 5th of 1966. The blizzard was particularly memorable for its long duration, as well as for its very heavy snowfall, totals of 20 to 30 inches in some locations and wind gusts exceeding 70 miles per hour at times. Snowfall totals reached as high as 38 inches, with drifts 30 to 40 feet high in some locations. News accounts vary, but at least 18 reported deaths occurred across the Great Plains states due to the blizzard. This iconic photo of North Dakota DOT employee Bill Koch, standing next to a set of power lines, was taken by fellow ND DOT employee Ernest Phelan on March 9, 1966. Orville and Wilbur Wright are credited by many with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful motor-driven airplane. The first successful flight of their invention took place at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on December 17, 1903. There were actually 4 flights that day, 2 by each brother. This famous photo records the first of those historic flights, which took place at 10:35 a.m. with Orville at the controls. It covered about 120 feet and lasted just 12 seconds. In the 1960s, the United States and Soviet Union were in a race to be the first country to have a man set foot on the moon. NASA's Apollo 11 mission was launched on July 16, 1969, and 4 days later Neil Armstrong became the first person to step foot on the surface of the moon. But because Armstrong was responsible for documenting the space crew's actions, it is actually Buzz Aldrin, the second person to walk on the moon, who is depicted in most of the famous pictures of the mission, including this shot. Although Armstrong can be seen reflected in the face shield of Aldrin's helmet. This photo does indeed depict U.S. servicemen raising the American flag atop Mount Suribachi after capturing it during the Battle of Iwo Jima on February 23, 1945. However, that version of events obscures the fact that this was not the first, but actually the second, flag raising atop that hill that day, in addition to the fact that this flag raising did not mark the end of this historic battle, which actually carried on for another month and claimed the lives of 3 of the men in the photo over the next few days. The image of Marilyn Monroe posing while filming the 7-year itch with her dress billowing upward thanks to the air from a New York subway grate remains among the most iconic in movie history. What not many people know, however, is that the scene was shot on actual New York streets, as this photo depicts, but the footage was ultimately deemed unusable and res-hot on a stage in Los Angeles, meaning that this image isn't actually from the filming that ended up in the movie. Other little-known tidbits include the fact that the filming of this risque scene in front of onlookers started a fight between Monroe and husband Joe DiMaggio that led to their divorce filing just weeks later, and that the dress Monroe is wearing here sold at auction for $4.6 million in 2011. Captain Nieves Fernandez, the only known Filipino female guerrilla commander during World War II and formerly a schoolteacher, shows U.S. Army Private Andrew Lupaba how she used her long knife to silently kill Japanese soldiers during the Japanese occupation of Leyte Island. Fernandez was credited to 200 Japanese soldiers' death, rescuing comfort women, and even raiding Japanese camps, which resulted to having a 10,000 pesos for her head. Rocco Morabito was driving in Jacksonville, Florida, when he spotted an electric company lineman dangling upside down from an electricity pole. The worker, Randall Champion, had been shocked by 4,160 volts, left unconscious by the jolt. Morabito, a photographer for the Jacksonville Journal, took a quick photo and went to call an ambulance as another lineman, J.D. Thompson, climbed the pole and began to give his coworker mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Once he called for help, Morabito continued to take pictures in July 1967, finally hearing the words, "He's breathing," from the heroic lineman above. The shot was taken on Einstein's 72nd birthday right after an event in his honor was finished at Princeton on March 14, 1951. While walking with Dr. Frank Adelot, the former head of the Institute for Advanced Study, and Mrs. Adelot back to their car, reporters followed trying to get shots of Einstein. UPI photographer Arthur Sass let the crowd of reporters take their pictures, and when the crowd had dispersed walked up close to the car and said, "Yeah, Professor, smile for your birthday picture, yeah?" Einstein thought the photographer wouldn't be fast enough, stuck his tongue out, and quickly turned his head away. Probably the reason why Einstein did the gesture was to try to ruin the photo. And that's it for today's video. If you want to watch more history-related contents, you can check out my short-form history videos. If you have any requests or suggestions for our next video, don't hesitate to message me. I will be more than happy to hear it from you guys. Again, thank you and have a great day. See you next time.